All right, let's jump right in. We often think of philosophy as, dusty and confined to heavy ancient textbooks. But in today's explainer, we're going to take 5 literally legendary quotes and transform them into a super practical, actionable roadmap for your everyday life. I mean, the truth is, the sharpest minds in history, they've already mapped out the exact same human experiences we navigate every single day. So get comfortable, clear your mind of the daily clutter, and let's explore how these profound insights can fundamentally shift your perspective.
So, what makes a life truly meaningful? It's the ultimate question, right? Well, we're going to answer it by unpacking how historical wisdom can actually solve our very modern struggles with boredom, burnout, and anxiety. Look, we live in an era of unprecedented convenience. We check our phones, over 100 times a day? Yet so many of us feel completely overwhelmed or just surprisingly empty. By looking back at the thinkers who distilled the human experience down to its purest forms, we can actually find a really clear blueprint for how to step out of the chaos and step into a life of real purpose. Which brings us to Section 1, examining your life's foundation, the starting point. Before we do anything else or, plan any grand achievements, we have to look in the mirror and ask a pretty tough question. Are you just going through the motions? Think about your typical week for a second. How much of it is driven by conscious, deliberate choices? And how much is just a blind reaction to your alarm clock, your inbox, and your obligations? It is shockingly easy to let weeks, months, or even years just kind of slip by while we sleepwalk right through our routines. And that brings us to this ancient challenge from Socrates. The unexamined life is not worth living. Now, keep in mind, Socrates was literally put on trial for annoying people with his constant questioning. But his point remains the absolute ultimate wake-up call. He isn't saying your life lacks value. He's urging you to stop, reflect, and scrutinize your daily choices so you can actually experience that value. He firmly believed that without critical self-reflection, we're really just existing, not truly living. We have to interrogate our beliefs, our habits, and our goals. Because in today's hyper-connected world, the unexamined life looks like a state of constant busyness. Endless scrolling, just reacting to notifications without ever pausing to reflect on our deeper values. We constantly confuse motion with progress, don't we? We have to intentionally push back against this trap. To build a life of actual substance, you gotta carve out quiet time to think. Put the phone down and honestly ask yourself why you are doing what you're doing. Okay, moving right along to Section 2, embracing your authentic self, the courage of individuality. This leads us right to Oscar Wilde's famously sharp observation, be yourself, everyone else is already taken. Coming from a guy famous for wearing velvet jackets and carrying around a literal sunflower, yeah, it's funny, but it cuts right through the noise of societal conformity. Society has this way of smoothing out our rough edges, right? Encouraging us to fit neatly into predefined boxes. Wilde is reminding us that your individuality is absolutely not a flaw to be hidden. It is the single most valuable asset you possess simply because it is entirely irreplicable. In our day-to-day reality, it comes down to a really stark choice. On one side, being yourself yields originality and inner peace. On the other side, trying to be everyone else, that just guarantees exhaustion and imitation. I mean, there is a sheer grinding exhaustion that comes from trying to match everyone else's social media highlight reel or live up to external expectations. Authenticity might require some serious courage up front, but it ultimately grants you profound freedom and peace. Next up is Section 3, loving what you do, the engine of greatness. The late Steve Jobs hit the nail on the head here when he said, "The only way to do great work is to love what you do." What's so fascinating is how he links the actual tangible quality of your output directly to the passion you hold for it. Think about it. You spend a massive percentage of your waking hours working. If you just tolerate it, sure, you'll do fine. But if you want to be great, if you want to push boundaries and create something meaningful, passion isn't a luxury. It is a strict prerequisite. So, to combat modern career anxiety, we can apply 3 specific steps to turn Jobs' philosophical passion into a concrete, actionable reality. First, identify your core interests. What actually, naturally holds your attention? Second, align them with your daily tasks. Find ways to weave what you love into what you must do. And third, cultivate mastery over time. Passion often follows competence, When you get truly excellent at something, aligned with your interests, your love for the work deepens immensely. All right, Section 4 now, navigating life's unexpected detours, the reality of control. As John Lennon so perfectly captured, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. It's a wry, sometimes frustrating truth. Total control over our destiny is largely an illusion. We can set our goals, we can optimize our routines, and we can plan out the next 5 years to the letter. But the universe, it usually has its own chaotic agenda. Life doesn't unfold according to a spreadsheet. It just happens. It is an active, unpredictable, and sometimes really disruptive force. And this demands that we remain flexible. Instead of rigidly clinging to our original blueprints and getting bitter when they inevitably fail, we have to learn to pivot. Adaptability is basically the superpower that lets us find meaning and joy even when we're totally forced off our chosen path. Which leads us to our final phase, Section 5, Putting Life in Your Years, the ultimate legacy. We anchor this with a genuinely brilliant quote. In the end, it's not the years in your life that count, it's the life in your years. Now, fun fact, while this is universally attributed to Abraham Lincoln, it was actually written by an ad copywriter in 1947. Crazy, right? But regardless of who actually penned it, that resonant cadence completely shifts our entire perspective. It moves us away from simply trying to age and survive and pushes us toward truly experiencing the time we have. It's a beautiful reminder that our human timeline isn't just a measure of duration, it's a canvas for depth.
Think about the difference in mindsets here. The years in your life is just about marking time on a calendar. It's basic survival. But the life in your years, that's about the density of your experience. It's the meaning you extract from everyday moments. True success isn't about setting a record for longevity. It is entirely about the depth, the richness, and the vibrancy of the days you've actually lived. Did you love? Did you learn? Did you adapt?
Which brings us to the end of our explainer today. And I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to take away. Are you just adding years, or are you adding life? Challenge yourself to examine your own path today. Stop the autopilot, embrace your true self, find your passion, and learn to roll with the punches. The wisdom of the ages is right here for the taking. The rest?